Do you know exactly when to use nervous and anxious, and the differences between the two?
She's nervous about the impact of climate change.
If you think there's nothing wrong with that sentence, you might not understand the nuance of the word nervous very well. And I believe this video will be helpful for you.
Coco. Nervous.
Alright, let's start with nervous. Nervous is typically used when you lack confidence about the upcoming short-term situations or events. Let me give you an example.
I always get nervous speaking in front of large crowds.
I always get nervous speaking in front of large crowds.
In this sentence, nervous is used to describe the speaker's feelings of anxiety or apprehension when speaking in front of large crowds, which could be due to a lack of confidence or other factors. Here's another example.
She felt nervous before her driving test.
She felt nervous before her driving test.
Anxious.
While nervous simply represents a feeling of unease and tension before a short-term event, anxious emphasizes worry and anxiety. Although the two words are often used similarly, anxious is more appropriate when expressing a more extensive and persistent feeling of anxiety. For example, nervous might describe a feeling that disappears after a tense event ends. But anxious is used in cases where worry and concern stay, due to the potential negative outcomes or effects. That is why you'd better use anxious rather than nervous in this sentence. Because worrying about the impact of climate change is not just about being tense due to a temporary event, but it involves continuous anxiety and long-term concern. Here's an example.
She's anxious about the impact of climate change on future generations.
She's anxious about the impact of climate change on future generations.
Let's take a look at another example for a better understanding of the word.
She's been anxious about her financial future since she lost her job.
She's been anxious about her financial future since she lost her job.
In this sentence, her worry and anxiety about her future are not just a temporary state of nervousness. It represents a long-term concern arising from the loss of her job. Therefore, in this context, using anxious is more appropriate than nervous. This is the end of today's lesson. I will give you a quiz based on what we learned today.
I always feel when I'm about to perform on stage.
Which word is more appropriate to fill in the blank, nervous or anxious? If you know the answer, please leave it in the comments. Also, leave a sentence you've written with nervous and anxious in the comments. Practice makes perfect.